This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There we go. Good morning, young man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Big O. How are you?
Good. You fully recovered?
I think so. Yeah, okay. I'm good. I don't know. I hope so.
You know what?
It's been about
that's actually the right answer because
I don't know.
You know, there's a bunch of us walking around with it and we don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just you think so, right? It's that's kind of the right answer right now. How old are you?
30. I just turned 33.
Okay, so you saw a little bit of his career. So somebody was, we were talking about Draymond Green and somebody was we were talking about, what kind of a jerk he is at times. And because somebody was asking me if he was a jerk, and then somebody compared him to Rodman. And I said, Rodman was a different kind of a-hole. He wasn't the pain in the ass on the court, dirty shots, hitting people in the balls and things like that. Dennis Rodman never was a cheap shot artist ever, actually. And he really wasn't the adjutant that this guy was. Dennis would agitate the opposing team because his energy never stopped.
Relentless, right.
Right. It was I just talked about it before that. I've never seen a defensive player with his energy ever in the history of the NBA, ever. No one has ever brought that kind of energy to defense and rebounding and all of that. Like, yeah, he was an a-hole if he was on your team because you were worried about him getting there on time, coming in with a wedding dress, doing something crazy or something, coming in with different hair colors and whatever, earrings and nails and all that. And back in those days, it's not like today that it was kind of a norm. Then it was kind of freakish what he was doing, all those kind of things, right? So it was shock. There was a lot of shock value. So he was more of an adjutant to his own head coach and front office and stuff like that. He never really acted the way Draymond has at times where, he really has pissed players off because he's done things that aren't considered professional on the court. Dennis wasn't really like that.
Yeah, I didn't watch, like you said, Dennis Rodman too much, but just from watching highlights and toward the end of his career, they had some similarities, right? The polarizing players.
Yes.
Teams, players that probably don't get enough credit for what they do for a championship team. But yeah, they were different in that way where I think Dennis Rodman was as good as Draymond is defensively. I mean, two-time defensive player.
He's better. He's better.
He's better. But just
better. I watched them cover 7-footers. Like he played when centers actually existed in the NBA, and he could out rebound those centers. No, he's the greatest defender I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy like that.
Yeah, and it's just his rebounding was just another level. I mean, Draymond doesn't have that, right? He's a fine rebounder, but Dennis Rodman is arguably one of the best rebounders ever.
Dennis Rodman was a better athlete than this guy.
Yeah. I mean, Draymond is a more skilled, even though Draymond is not a great scorer, he's a more skilled player, I would say, better passer, can do more things in that regard, but just pure energy, rebounding, defense, just activity. I mean, Dennis Rodman was one of a kind. There's no doubt.
Yeah, man. I still to this day I've never seen anybody even come close to the energy that
Patrick Beverley, different way, but Patrick Beverley a little bit.
He reminds me more of Draymond Green in the a-hole sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But his energy is very Rodman-like. You're right.
Yeah. That's the one guy that maybe, off the top of my head, I would say his energy kind of reminds me of Rodman a little bit.
Yeah. No, definitely. That Beverly would be one of those guys. But yeah, what Rodman did, it's just you have to tip your hat to, the way things have turned out. All right. So what's the latest on the PJ Tucker thing? What are you hearing? Because, you guys are writing about 3 years and max out that 3-year deal for $30 million. And now reports say that that may not be enough. So what's going on? What are you hearing with the whole PJ Tucker situation?
Yeah, I don't want to bog this too much with salary cap talk, but this is kind of what it comes down to. The Heat are willing, from my reporting, to offer PJ Tucker 3 years, around $27 million, fully guaranteed. Give him the third year, using the non-bird exception. PJ Tucker and his camp believe that they will get a bigger offer than that, around 3 years in the $30 million range, $32 million around there, with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. The Heat have that they could give PJ. They could also use a non-taxpayer mid-level exception, offer him 3 years, $32 million.
But they want to use that for another player, right?
But that basically means Caleb Martin is gone, because that's what they would probably use to sign Caleb Martin, the mid-level exception. B, it hard caps them at $155 million, which isn't as much of an issue this year because they're probably going to stay under that this year. But the biggest, I think, deterrent for the Heat going that far to keep PJ is it hard caps them and it limits their flexibility in the trade market this entire year. So then they'll be hard capped at the number. And if there's a trade that takes them over that, let's say Donovan Mitchell becomes available in 3 months, or Bradley Beal all of a sudden becomes available, or Damian, whoever, they will be very limited as far as to how far they can go because of it. So the Heat right now have, again, free agent negotiations don't start till tomorrow, but they have drawn a line as to say right now, this is as far as we're willing to go. And PJ says, well, I think I can get more. And PJ, at this point of his career, is looking for the most guaranteed money possible, which is his right. So it'll be interesting. Does he really? The reports are Philly is ready to offer him 3 years, $30+ million. Does he really get that offer? We're going to see in like 24 hours or so.
Are they a non-tax state?
They have a state income tax, but it's only 3%. It's only 3%. So it's not as high as like New York or California. So that makes up a little bit for what the difference in the Heat's offer and Philly's offer, but not. He's still getting probably $4 or $5 million more over the course of 3 years in Philly, if that's the case.
You know what ruins the whole PJ Tucker thing? He got his championship already.
Right.
So it's not that doesn't have to be in the consideration of, well, I'll give up 2 or 3 million, but I have a better chance here to win a title than I do there. So since he doesn't give a shit, he already got his title. That hurts the Heat in a way. You know what I mean? Because he's just going to go with the money, not necessarily with what he thinks is the best opportunity in order to win. So that's not a priority for him now. It just sounds from your reporting and from everything that everybody's talking about, it just sounds kind of like money is the priority now, since it's his final deal at this point.
And it's not like yes, he is in a very good situation with the Heat. And I did not expect, like, entering the offseason, I assumed PJ Tucker would be back because we know the Heat love PJ.
Me too. Yeah.
They have the means to do it. PJ enjoyed his time in Miami. I don't think the Heat expected PJ Tucker to leave. And again, I don't think a return shouldn't be ruled out yet. Okay, like, again, negotiations haven't started yet. Maybe the Heat move off their position, offer him the full mid-level. Maybe PJ doesn't get the offer he's thinking. Maybe PJ teammates talk PJ into coming back. We'll see. But I don't think the Heat expected PJ, the possibility of PJ leaving either. And to your point, Big O, he does have a great situation with the Heat. They were one win away from reaching the finals. He was a starting power forward. He put up numbers he hadn't put up in 7-8 years. They were using him in a way he hadn't been used in a long time. But Philly, it's more money. And B, Philly's not a bad team, right? I mean, yes, he beat them in the playoffs, but they have James Harden, Joel Embiid. They'll be a playoff team. And they'll be one of those teams that will be talked about as one of the East contenders, whether it's right or wrong. Like, they'll be up there in that class. So he probably feels like it's more money, and I still have a chance to win there.
All right, what'd you think of Nikola Jovic? What'd you think of Jovic?
He'd always win the press conference, right? He was good.
And by the way, he plays nothing this year, unless their Donovan Mitchell trade does come up, and they have to trade half their team in order to do it, in order to fill the spots. Then okay, dude, hey, we got a spot for you because we had to trade half our team to get Donovan Mitchell or Bradley Beal or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? But outside of that, this kid's going G League all the way next year. Why? I mean, come on, man.
That's my big question, honestly. And that's why I'm really intrigued for Summer League. Like, Summer League to me is like more intriguing than it was 2 weeks ago because we don't know really a lot about this guy. Like, there's most draft picks, we've watched him in college play for 2 or 3 years, or even just a year. You watch him, every weekend or on Wednesdays on ESPN play for Kentucky or Gonzaga or something, but we haven't seen this guy play an extended game. So Summer League's going to be our first opportunity. I agree. I tend to agree at 19 years old, having to fill out that body, he's probably not going to play much. But if PJ Tucker leaves, they're going to need some fours, and
they'll go get a veteran. Them.
They will, but I'm saying they'll need depth.
They're not going to put a young person in that position that's 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he weighs 142 pounds, soaking wet, bro. I mean, really, what is he? 180 pounds?
Listed like 220, but he's like 6'11". So
yeah, I mean, he's a beanpole. He's going to need to, build up that body. I
tend to agree.
I mean, look at Tyler Hero. This past season was a season where he really started to show a little more, strength in his body. You know what I mean? Where you could tell he held up a little bit more finally on defense. And this is a kid that was here in this country, going from Kentucky to here, and it's taken him a few years. So we have to be realistic. It's fun for Riles to say we're going to hang this jersey in the rafters and all that. But come on, let's be honest, man. This is a team trying to win a championship. The window's now. Unless this kid shows us the kind of
that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I agree with you. Chances are he's not going to play much. Maybe he'll play against Oklahoma City on a Tuesday night.
When they're up by 25.
He needs to play spot minutes. Show some flashes. I agree with you, but you never know. Maybe he comes out in summer league and averages 28 points a game on 55% shooting, and all of a sudden the Heat have to think of him as a rotation player. I don't think that's going to happen, but you just never know. So,
by the way, it's funny how you said, it's intriguing summer league. And I just talked about that a couple of days ago on the show. And I said, you guys need to thank the Miami Heat, because if you live in Orlando, or if you live in Sacramento, or, you live in certain cities, the summer league doesn't mean shit to you. Just like if you're a Marlins fan, the hot stove league doesn't mean shit to you. You know what I mean? And in free agency, and if you're an Orlando Magic fan, free agency doesn't mean shit to you. And you have to be grateful to the Heat as a Heat fan, not just the winning, but you get there because they made everything else matter. And now we're intrigued with Briante Weber or whoever the hell is coming out in the summer league.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, who is this Duncan Robinson guy? What this
Kendrick Nunn? Remember him?
Guy, Kendrick Nunn, whatever. Yeah. Over the years, it's just one after another that they develop, and it all started for this regime. It all started with Udonis Haslem, where they got an overweight kid out of Florida and Europe, and then made him lose a bunch of weight and changed his entire life. You know what I mean? And that's what these guys have done. They've actually made summer league matter, which is truly amazing, and you have to thank them for that. And that's why I say, if you're a fan, dude, I watch all the summer league games now for the last few years. Like, I make sure if I can't see them whenever they show them live, I'll have it recorded, and I'll make sure I watch all the summer league games, because now I know that I'm going to see a Yurtseven now, and I'm going to go, who the hell is that? They found another guy. Like, what the F? Who's this Gabe Vincent guy? And it's just a really cool thing. And I'm like you. I can't wait. Now, I know Yo Bitch is going to be there, but I'm looking forward to the guy that I didn't hear about.
That's what I'm saying,
Right? Because there's going to be
there'll be that guy. There'll be one or two of those guys. Last year was the Jean Giroux and Marcus Garrett, two of those guys who really stood out, and obviously Yurtseven and Max Strus was the leader of the team. This year is going to be Orlando Robinson, that center from UNLV. Is it, like there's so many, you just don't know who it's going to be, who's going to pop.
Irish kid went crazy over him. Yeah. So apparently Irish Jake Winderman knows.
He has Jake Winderman's approval. So
Jake apparently loves the hell out of Robinson. So somebody down here knows him. So we got to go with Jake on that one. But that's funny. All right. Speaking of the big prize, the eye on the big prize, is there any look, the Kyrie Durant thing, that thing looks like it's dead in the water.
That was a fleeting moment.
I didn't want to go Dougie with John Wall. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not, And I'm not buying the Clippers either, by the way. First of all, anybody know if Kawhi Leonard's going to stay healthy? Anybody know if John Wall's going to stay healthy? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I must have missed how
Paul
we
George too
teams that can't stay healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, people are like on ESPN. Oh, look out for the Clippers. Look out for what? They're IR. I mean, whatever. But anyway, so John Wall's out of the mix. So you tell me, the Donovan Mitchell, is there anything else out there that is starting to develop here as the moratorium approaches?
It's like I've said, Big O, since the start of the month. Like, I've always thought the likelihood was most likely this roster would pretty much remain intact. I did not expect PJ Tucker to leave, and that's a more realistic possibility at this point. We'll see, but I still feel like most of this core will be back next season unless something unexpected develops or some star demands a trade in the coming weeks and months. But there's no way to predict that, right? I mean, right now, Donovan Mitchell, there's been very little talk about him wanting out of
John Collins.
What's John Collins? Yeah, but it would take probably a Tyler Hero to get that deal done. Atlanta's asking price for John Collins is high. I don't know. I wouldn't do that personally. I don't know.
Oh, you wouldn't?
I would not.
But if you're losing PJ Tucker possibly,
sure,
and you can replace Tyler with Oladipo, Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, well, not Gabe, Strus. You've got guys that you can replace. So, but you can't replace PJ. But if you get John Collins, you improve that position on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, PJ defensively and all that is super important. John, I can't count on him to be the same defender, but still, he's still a damn good player.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player. Yeah. I just think there are other ways to fill the void left by PJ than to give up Tyler, who's your biggest trade asset. Because again, if Damian Lillard becomes available, or if Donovan Mitchell becomes available, you need Tyler Hero to get a trade like that done. You just do.
Oh, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why would you want to make the Damian Lillard trade when he and the guy that looks like me play the same position?
I'm just giving hypotheticals. I'm just saying if a star becomes available, you need Tyler Hero to get any trade like that done. So if you giving up Tyler Hero in a John Collins trade, you're basically saying we probably don't have enough to get that guy when he does demand a trade or when he does become available. I think there are guys on expiring contracts that he could look to trade to. This is just my going through the list, guys that make sense. Harrison Barnes from Sacramento, Kyle Kuzma from Washington. Jay Crowder, a familiar face with Phoenix.
Do you really want Kyle Kuzma? He's a little flaky, and he's kind of inconsistent. He doesn't convince me. What would you do for Kuzma? Is that like a straight up free agent or something? Or
no, he's an expiring deal that you need to throw in Duncan Robinson in a deal to make the money work, and then maybe Yurtseven or some other asset or maybe a pick to incentivize Washington to do
that. He does not. No, I'm not attracted at all to Kyle, and especially that big oversized sweater he wears. No.
Can't wear that in Miami. It's too hot.
No. You can't wear that sweater. I mean, that's just a crime right there. You should go jail for wearing that sweater. No, I'm not a Kyle Kuzma guy. Oh,
well, the point is there are other options you could turn to without having to give up Tyler Hero, I think. And I think that's if PJ
what's
leaves.
What's the Wiggins situation?
Wiggins, it seems like he's going to sign an extension with Golden State.
But is he a straight-up free agent?
He's not a free agent. I think he has 1 year left on his deal.
Okay. All right.
He's extension eligible, I believe. So
well, they're certainly not going to trade him.
No, they're not going to trade him.
I was just wondering if he's a free agent. Like, hey, because that guy,
he would fit. Yeah,
that's a Heat player right there. That guy's turned into a Heat player, bro. I think about Wiggins, and I wonder if he got drafted by the Heat, he would have been this player a lot sooner.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Because he wouldn't have had all that mess where he was at. He would have gotten right into a real structure, and they would have, made him a player right away, and they would have helped him mature. I think because in watching him, look, he goes to Golden State and he turns himself into a more complete player and a professional there at Golden State because that's a damn good franchise and they know how to develop people too. On top of all of that, look at the Poole kid that they've developed too. So you got to give them, some love.
Looney.
Yeah, Looney. Yeah, definitely. Weissman's the one that has kind of been, but it's been injuries and inconsistent and stuff like that with him. But overall, they do a pretty damn good job of developing players in that organization. And when I look at Wiggins, it's like, man, that guy, wow.
Yeah, it's impressive. And he would fit exactly what the Heat would need at the 4 spot. Like, the thing is, Bam Adebayo is such a unique center, right? That you need a specific type of 4 to play alongside him. Jay Crowder was a good fit. Obviously, PJ Tucker was a good fit. They've tried Kelly Olynyk. They tried Myers Leonard. They tried, Trevor Ariza and Mo Harkless. And honestly, PJ Tucker and Jay have been the best fits. And it would be a shame. Obviously, they lost Jay after half a season and led him to the final, helped lead him to the finals. And if they lose PJ Tucker after 1 season, I'm sure that's not what he want. But, there is a realistic chance that it could happen again to them this year.
By the way, download Miami's own liquor store. Just go to liquorsplit.com or go to your iOS or Android app store. Look for it, Liquor Split, download, and you can order flat fee of $2.99, no hidden fees. No, don't go drinking and driving, folks, okay? You need some extra beer, some wine, some vodka, some whiskey, some bourbon, whatever it is, some snacks. Go to Liquor Split, tap that app. We all love to tap that app. $2.99 flat fee, and $1 goes to helping homelessness in Miami. Liquorsplit.com. Tap that app. All right, so what are you working on at the Miami Herald so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, later today I'll have a guide to Heat free agency, kind of a broad, overarching story where you can get prepared for free agency, kind of know what's going on, latest on each of the Heat's free agents, kind of what the Heat's options are, what they can do in free agency. So check out that later today on MiamiHerald.com. And then also tomorrow we'll have a running blog, kind of updating throughout the day of what's going on in free agency and just obviously reacting to news and putting news out there. It's a busy time of year, but it's a fun time of year. We'll know what the Heat's roster is going to look like pretty soon for next season.
Are you expecting the PJ Tucker domino to fall right away? And slash be part of that question. Yeah. Again, don't worry about talking cap and numbers because it educates us and it explains the method behind the madness for some of the teams and what they're doing. So, 1, do you expect it to fall right away? And 2, for the Heat's purposes, because of cap purposes, is this something that they want to agree to but not sign right away because they've got to want to do other moves before they do that? Because I know there's an order in doing things sometimes for space and things like that. So explain to us how the whole PJ Tucker thing is going to work out. Is that something early on or after in the process?
For the Heat's purposes, the timing of it doesn't matter in the sense of they don't have cap space. So usually you do things in a certain order because you want to use your cap space first, and then you use your bird rights after, and then you accept they're already over the cap. So timing of it, Heat would like to have some clarity on PJ Tucker early on in free agency because that's going to dictate what they do. Are they going to have the exception available? Are they going to have to make a bigger offer to Caleb Martin to keep him because they're losing PJ? Are they going to keep PJ and then all of a sudden, if they do end up caving and offering the full exception, then you kind of know probably Caleb's not coming back. So the PJ Tucker, at least for the Heat in the Heat's world, will dictate kind of how free agency goes. He's going to be the first domino for the Heat in terms of what their plan is moving forward.
Who's your favorite one out of the 4 guys? And I'm talking about Yurt, Gabe, Strus, and Caleb. Who's the guy you think becomes the best player out of the 4?
I think Strus, and I think that's an easy answer probably because he started in the playoffs. But I just think for what the Heat need, and he has that elite skill of shooting. Plus, as we've talked about, he's not a bad defender. No, he could finish in traffic as we've seen when he needs to. Put the ball on the court. He's a smart player. I think just his skill set, he has elite skill, and then he has all the other skills complementary that can help him be more than a one-dimensional player. So I would say Max.
Caleb's the guy I like.
Caleb is,
I like Caleb, man. I think he's a complete player, man. I think he has the potential to do it all, Really do. I like him. That's why I cringe when I hear you say that they might lose Caleb. I'm like, damn, I like all four of them. I mean, I love Gabe's moxie.
Yeah,
I think
all four are intriguing.
I think he's a perfect backup point guard type of energy guy off the bench. I love Gabe. I like what I see from Yurt. Obviously, Strus is awesome. I mean, I love Strus. It's like a hair behind Caleb. But Caleb is the guy that I look at and I just kind of see a complete guy on both sides, offense and defense.
Yeah.
All it needs is experience and complete polish. And you may have yourself one hell of a player, man. You know, and he's gotta also stay a little healthier too. He had a few injuries. Yeah, he had a few injuries throughout the year that, you know, you'd like to see him kind of you know, be a little bit more durable throughout the year. But yeah, man, I don't want to see either one of those guys, man. All right. Good stuff as always. Follow him on Twitter at Anthony_Chiang and catch his exceptional work there at the Miami Herald. Anthony, as always, thank you, my friend. We will catch up later in the week.
Yes. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. There you go. The great Anthony Chiang and our liquor split Miami Heat report.